The word in everyone's mind and the whispers in the corridors: layoffs. It's a fact that none of us can avoid not discussing. IT services has been the backbone of job creation and the creation of this entire middle class in India over the last 30 years. They have done phenomenal work in creating jobs and creating this Indian middle class. Today, everything is getting questioned. The business model is under question. From technological advancements in AI to the change in preference of the clients, outsourcing to offshoring, the emergence of GCC. Both has led to a situation where the large services company, IT services companies, are forced to consider options that they never considered in the past, reducing the headcounts. So today we see the changes and the implications for families and the impact on personal finance. So many of these large companies which has grown, which has benefited from this outsourcing boom, are at risk today, with the clients preferring to set up their own captive centers, as well as a lot of ADM shifting to automated development models driven by various AI tools. Unfortunately, the large IT services companies have not developed the intellectual properties required to survive this change. So they are forced to make a decision to survive. And this decision is going to cost jobs. This is something every company or every industry that is undergoing transformation, or every company which will restructure, will go through. And as an employee in a sector which is undergoing transformation, or a company that is undergoing restructuring, we are going to face. Adding to this is the FIRE Act in the US, which is planning or proposing to place a levy on companies which is offshoring these jobs. So what does it mean? So it means very different things depending on where you are in your career. Let's say you are in the late 40s to early 50s. You need to look at your portfolios more closer. You need to be looking at having enough liquid assets, be it in liquid funds or fixed deposits or just plain vanilla savings account, to tide over this crisis. There could be a period where you may be redundant, you may be unemployed, until the time you find your feet again, till the time you come back to employment. You need to have enough and more in your liquid assets to survive this. And the other thing that you should reconsider is, given that structural changes that's sweeping across, you need to be considering moving away from your hard assets. So let's say you have your second, third or the fourth apartment in any of the metro, you should be considering moving from that to something more liquid, something more financial. And you should be reworking your retirement plans. You should be reworking your entire financial plans. And let's say you are 30. You have entered into employment, and you have started working towards your long-term finances, long-term financial plan. What we would suggest is incorporate a few more sensitivities, incorporate a scenario where originally you were planned for a base case retirement at, let's say, 60. Consider an alternate case where you plan to retire early, which means that you might have to save more, invest more, spend lesser. This will put you to a path of financial independence earlier than what you had originally planned, and which will reduce a lot of uncertainty, a lot of anxiety when faced with a situation like this later in your career. Bottom line, irrespective whether you are an early in your career or late in your career, rework your financial plans. Make it more robust. Look at your expenses, what is not required. It is probably time to cut some of them. Look at what is discretionary. Look at something which is discretionary. If it can be postponed, postpone it. That nice car that you have been eyeing, you might not want to own it now, maybe later. Maybe when things clear up. In all our conversations with the typical, with individuals who are employed in the oil and gas sector in the Middle East, this something comes up. Most of them, they have undergone cycles. They have undergone periods of unemployment, or rather loss of jobs. Let's say they used to work for a Schlumberger or a Petrofac. In situations like this, they let go, they are let gone, and they find their feet again, but usually in a smaller company, maybe at a much lower salary. So that is something that could happen. So let's say you are looking to, let's say your company is looking to right size. Let's say in an unfortunate situation, you are on the firing range, you are being fired. You may have to acknowledge and accept a position at a much lower salary. This is a sad reality. This is something that any individual working for or employed in a sector that is undergoing massive transformation or restructuring faces. This is something that happened to a lot of finance professionals in 2008, after the global financial crisis, and has happened multiple times to engineers working in oil and gas. So this myth that we have had that software jobs or IT services jobs are secure, it's getting broken, and there is absolutely nothing we could do about it but acknowledge and accept it and work on variables that are in our control. So the variables that are in our control is looking at our spending patterns, making appropriate changes, reduce what is not required, what is discretionary, and focus on what is really required. If you are young, like I mentioned earlier, do a scenario and start saving more so that you are more closer to a financial independence. We usually say you cannot predict, but you can plan. It's time to make that plan. It's time to make a plan that counts. It's time to make a plan with multiple scenarios. We'll see you soon with yet another episode of The Big Picture. Thank you.
Investment in securities market is subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.